This video is brought to you by our trusted partner Intel. For a limited time only, with the purchase of any unlocked Core i5 or Core i7 Intel CPU, get a free Intel beanie with a chance to win an Intel snowboard. Valid for Canadian and US customers only. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, visit intelgamingpromo.com. This will be the saddest of all of the personal rig updates. So before we go any further, I finally got it pretty much done. There's still a couple small things. I haven't finished bleeding out the loop, and yeah, mostly that. We're pretty much there. I need to reformat my OS and stuff like that because this is like a year outdated at this point. I haven't used it in a really long time. So I actually had my 30-inch monitor here in the room while I was working on the rig. I don't remember why it was down here. I don't remember why it was down here. We were probably running benchmarks on it. Yeah, we were running benchmarks on it, so it was down here in this room, and it was just kind of here. And Rumble really wanted some attention, and he was, you know, just kind of being a brat, rubbing up against everything, jumping up on everything. And he jumped up on my 30-inch monitor, and it fell right here and schwacked this thing. Now, when it was powered off, it still looked absolutely perfect. So right in the center there where it got hit, there's not a single mark. But I powered it on to test whether my rig worked, and I was greeted by this. So my Samsung 305T Plus, my 2560 by 1600 monitor that I actually just recently tested and found out will work at 75 Hertz with a supported NVIDIA graphics card, and I was really excited to try that out, is dead. So I have to figure out my monitor situation sometime over the next little bit here. I'm going to check with Paul from Newegg TV and see how he likes that Yamakasi Leonidas that he got. See if he likes it, and we'll go from there. Anyway, I might as well show you guys my horrendous, okay, this is probably the worst cable management you've ever seen. I decided by the time I was getting to close to the end of the build, I was like, you know what, forget it. I'm not going to put quite the same sort of care and attention to detail into the cable management as I originally intended. So things got a little crazy all up in here. So the things that I'm still going to do, you can see this just runs off to nowhere. This is the USB connector for the T-balancer, which is my smart fan speed controller. So this, I only have to plug in to program it. So I'm just gonna leave it here, and then I can plug it in to program it and then just take it out and leave it back here. This is for the UV, there we go, the UV cathode that's in the T-Virus. It's okay, you don't have to see the inside. They don't get to see that yet. I'm gonna do a final update when it's like done. Also, because I didn't have as much room with my cable management holes as I had hoped, because a lot of it got taken up by these SATA connectors, which I was planning originally to hide sort of down here, but it didn't really end up working that way. So instead, they come through here, they're managed back here, and then they go into all of these drives. Because I took up a lot of my cable management room, I was only able to run a couple power connectors up here. So I think I only have a single 3 Molex connector coming up here, and it's powering everything. So I had to fashion myself some random adapters. So this is like a Molex to left angle SATA and Molex, and then I used some of the Phobia quad SATA splitters to Molex to power all 8 of the F120 SandForce drives that are running off the LSI controller inside. Normally I'm pretty good about, oh yeah, and the same thing, like running all of the fans. So there's 2 fans in the front, 4 on the bottom, 2 in the top, 2 at the back, and they all have to somehow plug into 4 fan connectors on the T-balancer, which this is the only really reasonable place to hide it, so that ended up being a bit of a nightmare as well. And I could fashion custom cables, but I just got to the point where I was tired and I wanted to have a gaming rig again. Normally I'm really good about this, and I end up with a loop that's very easy to bleed, but my loop is, as you may or may not be able to hear, got quite a few air bubbles in it, so I'm going to have to play around with the angles of the case a little bit and get that bled out. So this barely closes, guys, like barely closes, and I can barely get the side panel back off. So once it's done and it's closed, I want it to pretty much be done. One of the other things that was a real nightmare to get done was getting this 3/8 tubing over the D5 pump, as well as the 1/2-inch barbs that I have on my thermal chill rat. I also still have to add some zip ties. I mean, I don't think these are going to leak. Look how stretched they are, but it's always, you know, better safe than sorry for stuff like that. All the, not quite individually, but 2 cables per sleeve cables go here, and I want to tie them up a little bit, just get them into bunches somewhat, because you can see them through the mid plate on the other side. I didn't get a custom mid plate, so that's the last thing that I want to change on the back. It's going to be really quiet once I get it sort of dialed in with the T-balancer. But there you go. So we're close, and there's my horrendous cable management. You guys are going to be surprised at how tidy the other side looks when you see how awful it looks in the back here. But I've never really been one of those guys who puts a lot of attention and detail into the stuff that no one's ever going to see, even though I feel like I probably should, especially with some of the awesome build logs that are going on in the Linus Tech Tips forum. You guys are making me feel bad about taking a year to finish this monstrosity. But anyway, I pretty much have a gaming rig again, except I no longer have a monitor, and that's my personal rig update. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to Linus Tech Tips for more unboxings, reviews, and other horrifically depressing videos.